Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plat. Purplatypus is the name. And today we are going to talk about 5 things I want them to improve on the next Yakuza Like a Dragon Ichiban RPG game. Now, this might be my last Infinite Wealth video. So if that's why you were following me and you're no longer going to be interested, I just want to say thank you for all the support I've had. Just like I want to thank my YouTube members. I fucked it up. Where's it at? My YouTube members. Thank you very much, YouTube members. I really appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. And I hope you guys continue to be awesome. And if you're interested in supporting the Plat, you know how to do it. I currently have 4 YouTube members, and it's always been a lifelong dream of mine to have 5. So I don't know. Maybe one day. We'll see. Anyway, thank you, friends, for supporting the Plat. Now, I'm going to talk about 5 things I want them to improve in the game. And like I said, this might be my last video for the game, not because I have any hate for the game, anything like that. I actually have a lot of love for this game. I just kind of, I'm reflecting. I've pretty much finished everything I want to do in the game, and now I'm reflecting on my time in the game and things that I want to see improved. I've already said a lot of positive things about the game, and so I kind of want to just talk about what I hope they change in the future. So, number 1. I want less party restrictions over the course of the game. I feel like this game, it's not like ungodly bad, but I have a super bias. I just like Final Fantasy X had it perfect for me, where it's like you always have access to all your characters at all times. And other games have that too, but Final Fantasy X would also let you do it even in combat. You could switch people out. And in the post game, it almost lets you do that. But during the story, and I know for story reasons, they have to, they had a story they wanted to tell. And then it wouldn't have made sense for the characters to be able to be switched in and out whenever you want. But I kind of hope they just take the story in a direction now that Kiryu has had his like send off, essentially, even if he's in the game. If I would love it if they could keep the party together, give you the whole cast earlier on in the game, and then kind of just let you build the teams that you want, I don't like when I was like, all right, I was trying to do something in Kiryu's place, but it's like, oh, I don't have Ichiban. Dang it. So now I don't have my Suji Mancer. So now my main thing I've been trying to build around, I can't really use. So I got to come up with another team. And it's like, okay. And it was fun in some aspect, but I also found myself getting frustrated with it from time to time. So I would like less restrictive active party members during the main story of the game, please. Also, one thing that I think this game really, really needs, that's very aggressive language, I suppose. I think that the job system would greatly benefit from there being passives in the tree. For almost the whole game, there's not really a reason to pick one job over another when you're playing through the main story, because they're all viable and they're really just attacks. And like, if you have this attack can leave them blinded, but this attack can make them bleed, and this attack just does medium damage and knocks them back, like all of them are going to do fine. And yes, there's differences in some nuances, but I really feel like these jobs need passives. You already have a system in the game where you could take skills from other jobs and put them on your current job. Just extend it a little bit and give you like 2 passive slots or something. I don't know. And then have every job have 1 or 2 passives. So you can really make a cool, interesting build. You could have some attacks, you could be a chef with some attacks from the samurai and a passive from the aquanaut or something, or a passive from, you could kind of do these really interesting builds that I think would add a lot. Because right now, a lot of people, I've seen people even say, it's like, there's just too many jobs. No reason to level them up. Why would I play them? And they're right. There's not really a reason other than the fact that you like the outfits to do it in the main game. In the post game, there's a little bit of point because you get the stats, but really, like, you could do one fight and you could never use the job. You could just equip people with a job, move over all the skills from an old job, level it up to 30 just so you have access to all skills, which takes one fight on legend mode. So I really think that they need to not better define the jobs, but I really want a couple passives, and they kind of already have it, right? They have it in the sense that it's in the equipment and it's in the weapons and it's in the equipment, right? The chef has a weapon, and that this is, it has a passive increase MP cost of skills, boost skill damage of skills. Then there's the 3-star chef coat, which is a unique armor for the chef that has a passive built in. I'm all cool with this and I like them having this, but please bump this kind of stuff earlier into the game, have it more cooked into the class itself as opposed to like late game items, you know, like I like the items too, but like double up on it then. Do it both. I just really want to be able to build my jobs. All right, number 3. I One of my least favorite things that this game does beside is selling the new game plus and having difficulties behind new game plus. Please, if you're gonna have a normal hard legend mode, let me start the game in a legend mode. I know it might be harder to balance, but like because of the way they did the difficulty, I had an easy time on the normal mode of the game, and then I had an easier time on the legend mode because I'm so powerful by that point. So I never really got to have a difficult JRPG. Now there's a lot I love about this game. It's all about difficulty. I love Ichiban, and I'll buy the next game 100% day one and be covering it day one. But please allow me to pick difficulty options at the start of the game, or allow it to be modular. Like if someone picks it too hard, just allow them to drop it to make it easier, or do the Dragon Quest thing, add draconian quests where there's a modular difficulty where it's like, all right, harder monsters, less money, you know, you maybe, you know, no summons, I don't know, just some stuff, you know, so I could have a more difficult experience because the first game, I understand it was pretty easy. The main story was very, very easy. One of the easier RPGs I played, but it's the first time that your audience is being introduced to this genre. This one has a more difficult main story. It's still pretty easy. At the post game is kind of a joke, but I think we're all the Yakuza fans that are playing this game and going to play the third one are comfortable enough with RPGs. I don't think they need to be afraid to up the difficulty a little bit to expect more of a player for those that want to engage in that and not just have it as like a purchasable DLC that sucks, that isn't even good. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Please, I'm just gonna stand here the whole time. Please have a post game, like a real post game. The Millennium Tower was so good in the first one. It didn't have this huge, awesome story or anything, but it was like a real spot that gave you a reason to grind up your jobs, and you had to develop a strategy. And it was a long, difficult actual achievement you could do if you really wanted to push this game's mechanics to the max. Now, I do think they should add save points. Just add more save points. You don't need it. In the big swell, there's no save points. Just put more save points. It's okay. Just go ahead and do that for me, please. I hated the Millennium Tower not having save points. Don't take that. But everything else, have these end game dungeons. Like the end game dungeon is what? The Tokyo Haunt and the whatever, the Hawaiian Haunt and the Tokyo Underground thing. It's like they're jokes. They're jokes. They're easy. And I know not everyone's going to have a super easy time with them, but like as someone that did the Millennium Tower, it was like a magnitude, like literally 10x easier, in my opinion, to do these. And the big swell's final boss fight, the level 100 enemy or whatever, even on legendary difficulty, was easier than most of the fights in the game. So I just don't understand. Have a post game after the credits roll, give us like maybe a little bit more story and something really to do, some end game RPG super dungeon grind. Let us invest another 20, 30, 40 hours into grinding our characters up to be strong and tackling more and more difficult challenges. You know, push the combat systems to its limits and let us have a good time with that for those of us that want to engage with it. I don't think it takes that much more effort to add that, right? Most of the effort is going to be in the main story. Then just add something to the end for us. And please don't sell it. If you sell it, I will buy it. I know I'm a scrub. I already bought this DLC, but it also wasn't good. So please give us a real post game. And finally, I actually do think one of the biggest issues with this game is that the balance, this game has overall better balance than Yakuza 7, in my opinion. The boss encounters and your encounters are a little more difficult, but they're not super difficult, and you always feel like you're able to handle it. But you can kind of just mash the A button sometimes, but not usually. Usually you're gonna have to put in a little bit of effort and put some skills. Overall, the balance, I remember being pretty good in this compared to 7. But the later you get in the game, especially after you beat the game the first time, like it's pretty decent up until then, but after you beat the game the first time, the balance just goes out the window. The end game, balance is complete. They just put no effort into it. It feels like I shouldn't say they put no effort into it. I don't know, but it really feels like there was no effort put into it. I mean, everything is just you kill it in 1 round or you kill it in 2 rounds instead of fights taking 10 rounds of like you doing buffs, you debuffing the enemy, them hitting you, you healing. Oh no, they get, they're getting 2 turns in a row, blah, 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 this stuff. It's just like, I power up with a summon, substitution jutsu, super mega nuclear beam. They lived. Round 2, power up with a summon, substitution jutsu, mega beam. It's like you just mega beam, mega beam, mega beam, mega beam. Every day I'm just doing mega beam. 1 1 1 1 2 mega beam. That's what it feels like. It's just like it really needs to either tone down the summons, make them weaker. They need to make, if the summons took a turn, they'd be dog shit. They don't take a turn. That means you have a free AoE buff with some decent damage. They're absolutely broken powerful, especially because you could use them every single turn. And when you're at the money cap, very easily, you could just afford to spend, roll that slot machine. It's not a slot machine. It's like a slot machine if it was always on all 7s, basically. And then it's just all about giant AoE super attacks. You get super powerful, and the game doesn't really push back against that. So I want them to change the end game balance, really put a little more effort into. I don't really, I'm not a professional. All right. All I know is Dragon Quest has done a really good job. And this game isn't Dragon Quest, but it's clearly, Ichiban is clearly inspired by Dragon Quest, as he mentions it like 60 times in Yakuza 7, but not once in this game, I don't think. But he even says that the whole reason for the combat system is that Ichiban imagines his enemies to be these crazy things, and that he lets them hit him. He lets them take a turn because he feels like that's what a hero of Dragon Quest would do. He engages in turn-based combat when he doesn't have to. Like, it's like the whole context is Ichiban loves Dragon Quest. So take a little more inspiration and really fine-tune the combat system. I don't want him to lose the identity. This isn't the most precise, numbers-driven RPG of all time, where it's like, even Octopath Traveler 2 is very like precise. You do this action, this thing happens. This is more fluid, loosey-goosey. Your characters move around. When you hit them, sometimes a character will interact with it. Sometimes they kind of won't. Sometimes, you can hit enemies into things that might explode. You could do AoE attacks, but sometimes you can't tell if it's actually going to hit everybody or it's not. Your buffs don't always get everybody. Your heals don't always get everybody. So there's a lot of like loosey-goosey. Things aren't going to exactly work out how you want them to, or things might work out better than you thought they would. And I'm okay with them keeping this identity, a very, it's definitely inspired by an action game, I'll say, but I would like for them to really kind of pull in the reins of this late game, kind of make a late game with an interesting enemies or combat system, or make it so we're not as powerful, make it so the enemies are more powerful, but not just boosting the numbers on everything. But that's it for this one. I know it kind of is negative, but I do want to remind everybody, the reason I'm making this video and the reason I've made so many videos is because I love this game. I think this game is fucking incredible. Is it a 10 out of 10? No. There's things that I really want to see improved that I know that they could do better on, and I hope that they do. But overall, I had a fucking wonderful time with this game, and I'm very excited for the next one. I'm unlikely to play this game again, honestly. I mean, I have a lot of hours into it now. I know some people have 150 plus hours. I'm almost at 100 hours, all right? And that's 2 playthroughs. I've done pretty much, I haven't done every bit of content, but I've done all the content that really, that I want to do. And I don't care about 100% of the game. I don't want to add 20 more hours of gameplay that I don't really enjoy, because I think it'll just slightly sour my experience of a game, where if I'm like, my first 100 hours were incredible, but those last 20, fuck, I had to go around and do all these things I didn't want to do just to get the trophy. That's just not who I am. That's not how I play games. But I do love this game. I had a great time. I hope that they improve these things. And again, if you want to support the Plat, you guys know how to do it. Consider becoming a YouTube member. And thank you again to my wonderful YouTube members here. My Bring the Pain and Shadows Den Gaming. You the real MVPs. Peace out, friends. I'll see ya on the next one. And also, hopefully you check out my Unicorn Overlord content. I hope you do.